I'm going to give you some context for why I'm confused about the whole tipping scenario in America, and I need you guys to offer me solutions in the comments. Here is what I have learned so far about tipping in America. It's anything between 10 and 15%. 10 if the service isn't very good, 20 if you're just a really sound person, and 15 is kind of the bog standard. Apparently you tip with a penny if you're really dissatisfied, but you have to tip in America because the service industry are really badly paid there. I find that whenever I mention tipping, it tends to inspire socio-economic, pseudo-intellectual conversation on the subject in the comments, so I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Nerd, massive nerd, nerd alert, big nerd, she's a nerd.
And before I get into the video, do be sure to subscribe, otherwise you're gonna have really bad breath and nobody's gonna tell you about it. And wouldn't that be devastating? You wouldn't know and you'd be that person. Ooh. So subscribe. And guys, it finally happened. I got the sponsor that this channel has been wanting forever. It's the VPN Surfshark. Surfshark is an app and browser extension that basically lets you place your laptop or phone anywhere in the world and lets you access the internet as if you were in that country. It lets you unblock websites that you usually might not be able to see. You guys often send me links to websites and TV shows that I just can't access in Ireland. And I know a couple of times you guys have been frustrated because you can't watch the TV show that I present on RTE here, or you couldn't watch the show that me and Paul were on last week on Virgin Media. In addition to that, it also adds an extra layer of security when you're online to protect your passwords, your photos, your videos, all your secret stuff.
It keeps you secure while online banking by using end-to-end malware protection. It's the only VPN that allows you to use it across unlimited devices.
The guys have given me a code, Diane. I know, it's uncrackable in itself.
Use my code Diane to get 83% off and an extra 3 months free.
I'm so excited to finally team up with this VPN, and you get 30 days money back guarantee, so there is no risk to try it. The link is in the description below. Welcome aboard and thank you for supporting the channel, Surfshark. Okay, the first one that I get confused about is if I go to pay my bill and there is already a gratuity or service charge added onto the bill. Now in Ireland, a lot of times we'll have a service charge if there's a table of 6 or more people or something, and you're expected to also leave a tip on top of that if you're particularly happy. But I know in America it's less so to do with you're happy and more to do with just the accepted norm is to leave a tip. But if they've already asked for a service charge, am I covered? And also in relation to tipping with cash in a restaurant. When I go to leave, do I just leave the tip on the table, or do I wait for the waiter or waitress to come over and take it? What if somebody else robs the tip? Is that a thing that happens?
I choose to believe that not all crimes are committed by bad people.
Lenny has given aid to me before when we've been on trips in America because I make it really obvious I'm leaving a tip. I'm like, here you go, and I'll hand it to the person. And he thinks that's not the norm and not okay, and it makes everybody feel uncomfortable. But I'm like, at least the person has it in their hand and nobody stole their tip, but maybe that doesn't happen and I'm just paranoid. So yeah, gratuity. Do I also leave an additional tip? And if so, my meal's costing like 3 times as much as I anticipated. But maybe that's just the norm. Okay, the next question, and I'm just going to follow on from that one while we're on waiters and waitresses. When I am in California, I know that their minimum wage is $12 an hour, correct? So all the waiters and waitresses are making a minimum of $12 an hour, which it's about the same as what you would make here working as a waiter or waitress. So in that case, am I still required to leave a 15 to 20% tip, or are we back to the European measure where if it's good service, you leave a tip and it's usually around 10%? Or am I back to being really insulting to people again? Or maybe we just ignore the fact altogether that they're making $12 an hour. Let me know. The next one I have a question about is the valet. Okay, here's the issue with valets. When we go to a car park, usually you are forced to use a valet in a lot of cases when you're like, I'd be happy to just park the car myself.
But you can't drive.
But fine, okay, these places have valets, so then you have to pay the valet. And then you also have to pay a tip to the valet. So you paid for your parking and you paid the valet a tip. When we've stayed in hotels, this has been the case a lot of times, and sometimes you don't have cash on you. Is it acceptable in that case to pay the valet a big tip at the end of your stay in the hotel, or is that not okay because it won't go into the pocket of the person that you're trying to tip? Does that make sense? I find it really fiddly to have dollar bills all the time, but that's just your way of life and you're used to it, so if that's just what you're supposed to do, fine, I accept it. But yeah, I feel like it would be more comfortable to just hand over a bigger bill at the end than just hang out with all those little bills, but I wouldn't like to do that if the person that I want it to go to doesn't get it in the end, so let me know. Next question, the bellboy. Oh my gosh, this is confusing. I guess I should say bellboy or bellgirl in this case, because it can be either. Here's the problem. When you arrive at the hotel, one person will open the door of your car and could take your bag for you and wheel it to the reception, and then another person could take your bag and bring it upstairs. That's in those fancy hotels. But in that case, am I supposed to tip the two people? The person who took it out of the car and brought it into the reception and the person who brought it up to the room? Or am I supposed to give one tip to one person who will share it out amongst them? And am I supposed to double that tip because two people helped me or because one person helped me? And now you're kind of starting to get why this is confusing to a foreign person when visiting your country. Again, it's kind of a job I would be happy to do myself, just bring my own bag, but sometimes people insist on it and you're like, okay, well now I have to pay you for a thing that I really didn't need help with in the first place. But if that's the norm, that's the norm. It's a bit like in Ireland, we have these people in the bathrooms who will help you wash your hands, which is not a job I've ever needed help with before. I manage to do it pretty much daily, but when they're there and they hand you a towel, suddenly you feel like you have to give them €1. So, yeah. Okay, the next question, and this was my first encounter with tipping in America being problematic, and I mentioned it a really long time ago on the channel. The free shuttle bus from the airport to your hotel. It's free. But when me and my friend tried to get off the shuttle bus, the guy yelled at us because we didn't put any money in his tip jar.
I wanted you to tip me!
Frankly, we didn't have any dollars yet, and I felt like we shouldn't get yelled at. Now, I can recall an instance where me and Lenny tipped a shuttle bus driver, and he full on deserved it because he bombed it from dropping the rental car back to the airport where the flight had been brought forward for some reason. So we gave him a tip and he deserved it. But this other shuttle bus driver, I just feel like, I don't see why he earned a tip. But maybe you can correct me if I'm culturally wrong. Okay, this next one, and I guess we're kind of running into a theme here of things we can do by ourselves that other people do for us and then we have to pay them. But that's just a thing in America. Okay. The cost of living luxuriously and having people do things for you that you can do yourself. It's full service gas stations, okay? So someone comes and fills up your car for you. Are you supposed to tip those people? I feel like you should, right? But at the same time, if it's a job that you can do without assistance and you didn't ask for it, it's so confusing. In fact, sometimes you have fun doing the gas station thing yourself. Even though I don't drive, I enjoy trying to get the number to match the exact number that I say, like $20.01, and I'll set myself that goal and then it'll go to that, and then it's exciting. And then they've taken that fun away from me, so I have to tip even though you've made me sad. Next, buffets. What do you do at buffets? A lot of times we'll get a buffet breakfast in a hotel where we stay, and somebody will come over and wipe our table or bring us coffee in addition to the buffet itself. In that case, I feel like we should leave a tip, but I'm also reading off people that you don't tip at a buffet breakfast. Or indeed a buffet, although I've not had a buffet in America. That might be fun. I'd like to do a buffet in America if we ever get that in again. So yeah, should I tip at a buffet breakfast, or am I just talking crazy talk? Next question, the concierge. Do you tip the concierge? I definitely feel like there are instances where you should tip the concierge if they've gone out of their way to do something.
Basket of puppies was a big one.
Or you've specifically asked, can they get you cheaper tickets in London or something? I will always tip the concierge there. But if we just ask them if the Starbucks is down the road to the left or the right and they go to the left, do I have to give them a tip? Or let's go a little deeper. If we say to them, hey, are there any nice barbecue restaurants around here? And they give us like a list of 3 off the top of their head, do I give them a tip then? I feel like if they got out their phone or tried to book something for us, I definitely would tip them. But if they're just kind of saying a throwaway thing, do I tip them? And finally, the number 1 most confusing person, do I tip them or do I not tip them, is the bartender. Now, I've heard with bartenders that if you tip them, then you get a free drink after a couple of rounds, but I can't say I've stayed at a bar long enough to know if that's true. This is an instance where me using the calculator seems a bit silly. If I buy an $8 drink, do I just give them $1? What if I buy a $12 drink? Do I still just give them $1? I feel like I shouldn't be getting out my calculator and figuring out what 15 to 20% is. also, that seems like a lot to add on for a drink. But if that's the way it is, okay. What if I go up to the bar, order my drink, go back to my table, and a person brings it down for me? Do I give the bartender money then, or just the person who brought it down to me? How about if I'm on a tab, which is exciting and interesting for us to do because we don't really do that here in Ireland, and I can see why it's convenient. If I open a tab, do I just pay the tip at the end? And if so, am I not going to get my free drink? Because I like free alcohol. I think we all do. So yeah, those are my 10 tipping scenarios that I specifically need help from you about. Let me know below in the comments. In the meantime, I'm going to go watch a whole load of shows I couldn't watch before I got my VPN. Check it out. I'll see you on the other side. Bye. Where's Chewy? Is under the table. I'm going to put him in his spot. Come here, Bubby. Frankly, we didn't have any dollars. I don't felt... Oh, you're so clever. You're so clever. With that. And also in relation to tipping with... Oh, even further. Oh, you're a circus dog. And yes, I do look like Princess Peach in this top. And I love it. Next, the buffet breakfast. Next, buffets. Next, buffet. Are you done? You done?